darkness falls across the land. The midnight hour is close at hand.
Hey friends, welcome to Whiskey Whistle. I'm the host of the show, Mark, and you're watching Whiskey Review number 216, which may come out before 215 and 214 for reasons I can't get into. But anyway, what we have today is a Korean domestic market special. Scotch Blue. Scotch Blue International and Scotch Blue Special. This one is NAS, no age statement. My tongue tells me it is round about 10, 12 years old. And the Special, which is 17 years old with an age statement, both are 40% ABV. These are produced by, well, they're imported by Lotte Liquor. And they're made by Ian MacLeod Distillers. And this has actually changed recently. If you've been subscribed to the channel for a long time, you'll know that I had these very products on the show about 1.5 years ago. Maybe almost 2 years ago, not quite 2 years. So, interestingly, back on the show, different maker. Now it's Ian MacLeod Distillers. We're talking Tamdhu and Glengoyne. And they also use 3 highly regarded grain Scotch whiskies in the blend. They use Jervan, they use North British, and they use Invergordon. So that's really cool. And another cool thing is the bottles have changed. So now we have these very colorful screw tops. We've got gold for international, navy blue for the Special, the 17-year-old. A little bit of a change in the bottle shape. So a little bit of a curve going on there. We like curves. I like curves. And also, if you look at the top where it comes up to the neck here, you'll see that there is an embossing of a distillery right there. So that's really cool. And not only that, on the back of the bottle, we also see that it has been bottled in Scotland, which is quite often a bone of contention for people when it's not bottled in that country. So this is bottled in Scotland. It's distilled there. It's aged there. It's bottled there. They've got the Scotch Whisky Association behind them 100% for this brand. So that's really great. And they've apparently also upped the malt content, I guess giving way to consumer demand. People are really interested in Scotch single malt whiskies worldwide, including Korea, where blends have always been number one. Absolutely number one. Single malts were hard to come by a few years ago when I just came to Korea. So let's get these poured. Oh, and it's got a really cool anti-counterfeit topper there. Can you hear that? There's a little ball in there. And I've also got some awesome, very deluxe sized, kind of like Glencairn glasses. They're not Glencairn. They're totally different. They look different. They're not knockoffs. They've actually got a very deep little pocket in the bottom. Let me show that to you. These glasses I got in the bottle of 21-year-old, which you can see right over here. Anyway, so can you see the difference there? You get the whiskey all the way down into the, we'll call it the stem. Can I call it the stem? The base of the glass. Very nice. And color-wise, pretty much a straight-up golden hue. How about the legs? Let me put that down for a moment. Let's look at the legs for Scotch Blue International. Quite slow, drizzly ones here too. Well, it's quite beautiful. It smells like Scotch. I love the smell of this whiskey. And I like the previous incarnation. I really like this one as well. So that is the International. Now let's go right ahead and pour the 17-year-old. Put the cap back on. Don't want to have another mishap on the channel. Of course, you like the mishaps, don't you? Okay, get that opened. Wrong hand, Mark. There we are. Let's get that poured. In she goes. And yes, I'm pouring fairly big. These glasses are really conducive to a full-size pour. It's hard to tell when you see the glasses right here on the show like that, but if I show you the Glencairn, you'll see just how much bigger it is. Can you see that? It's got a much bigger opening, so the Glencairn actually goes in there, and a much wider base, and then you get this little extra pocket here at the bottom. All right, now let's have a look at the color of the Scotch Blue Special 17-year-old. Now I'd say that is just a shade to the darker, roughly about the same, just slightly darker than International. And what about the legs? Let's check out the legs for this one, the 17-year-old Scotch Blue. There we are. Boy, her legs are very slow. Ooh. Especially the secondary drizzle is taking its sweet time to come down. Look at that. Beautiful. All right, we'll set that one aside. Let's get back on to task here with Scotch Blue International. We will check out the nose, we'll check out the palate, the finish, then we'll give it a WhiskyWhistle Whiskey score, and then we'll go right into the 17-year-old following the same process of nose, palate, finish, and score. Finally, we'll talk a little bit about comparing the two of them and the prices and whatnot. All right, onto the nose. Scotch Blue International has a very fresh, fruity nose. Let me tell you a little bit more about that one. So, apples and peaches especially the skins and even the fizz. I've also got some fresh hay that's coming through. And I'm getting Halloween toffees. The ones that you never really liked as a kid, but then growing up now, it's like I really wish I had a bag full of them. They've got an orange wrapper. I think I've mentioned them at least once before anyway. And they've got a very rich grain flavor, grain, like a rich grain bread that's coming through here. And having recently tasted Glengoyne, there's a hint there, I'll tell you that this Halloween toffee, the fresh hay, and the rich grain seems to be a Glengoyne sort of a flavor component here. Ian McLeod Distillers, of course, having three distilleries now, three single malt distilleries, Tamdhu, Glengoyne, and now Rosebank. Okay, on to the palate. Cheers, everybody. It's got a sweet, sugary opening. I'm getting some candied orange. Some brown sugar caramels. Again, kind of a dry sherry wine component. And a slightly effervescent, fizzy type of a young malt feeling in my mouth. Which actually works very nicely here. That's adding a little bit of kick to it. The finish, is peppery, a little bit of ginger, some cinnamon hearts, stick candy, and it's basically got just a standard medium finish. Very clean. All right, we'll add a little bit of water, about a milliliter or so, and we'll mix it up here. There we are. Now you really get a lot more of that Glengoyne grain richness. It is by no means a light scent. It's actually a very rich scent. But I'm getting a lot more of that here now. And the more time you give it, the more you get. And palate, let's check that one out. We'll taste it one more time here now with water. Cheers. I'm getting a little bit of a leather, a little bit of polished wood, polished furniture, and a little bit of sherry also. So sherry, some leather, some wood. Very interesting flavor notes, usually associated with older single malts. On to the finish then. Swallow it. Some more pepper. And then now a little bit of a cherry mint, cherry menthol, cherry halls type of a flavor coming on here. Great. All right. How about the WhiskyWhistle whiskey score for Scotch Blue International? What's that going to be? It's going to be 86 out of 100. Yes, that's the WhiskyWhistle whiskey score for Scotch Blue International. The brand new, fully refurbished, completely made anew, totally refreshed product. How is it in comparison to the former? I wish I still had some. I don't. But as my memory serves, I found this one to be a little bit more peppery and maybe a little bit more of a sherry component coming through. And I quite like it, so that's really working very well. It's different from the old, but just as good or better. And it's not just a sweet, sweet, fluffy kind of a Scotch whiskey. It's got a little bit of kick to it, so I think that would be something that you might enjoy. All right, let's get on to the 17-year-old Scotch Blue Special. Let me put that one back here so you can see it and admire its color. And I'll grab this one. There we go. I poured way too much of that. Who's going to drink this? I guess I will. All right. So we talked about the color already. So let's have a look at the nose now. All right. Now right away I get the sherry component. The tamdu is really coming through here. And according to my nose and my palate for this one, I have a feeling that we're talking about 60% single malt Scotch whiskey in this and 40% grain. They wouldn't tell me, so I don't know for sure. But what I do know is that, it's made by Iron McLeod Distillers, who have Tamdhu and Glengoyne, and I'm getting more sherry here. So that's telling me that that's the Tamdhu. All right, it's really got a great nose. I get some candy shop, some candied fruit also, hay and brown sugar. That's a little bit of that Glengoyne, I think. Probably some of the grain Scotch whiskies also. Let's check out the palate then. Cheers, everybody. Sherry rich, and not only that, but also well-aged Scotch whiskey flavor, which reminds me a little bit of apricot. A little bit of peat in there also. There's a little bit more peat here than I remember. And I wrote here, peppery mentholic peat comes out to play. It's got a great sherry component. I'm getting some red raspberry candy. Stewed dried fruits, apricots and plums. This really reminds me of Glenmorangie 18-year-old. Interesting. Which I think also has a fair bit of sherry in it. Does it? I think it does. All right, anyway, how about the finish then? After you swallow, you got that pepper again, a bit of that menthol, and yet this big fruity component is really left behind, so that's great. And the finish length is long. All right, now with water. Maybe just a dash more. And we'll stir it up. Well, I wonder what preceded the changing of makers, but whatever the reason, the result is something that you and I can enjoy immensely. I think this has definitely gone above and beyond its former presentation, not only visually, but also in my mouth. And that's where it's really important, isn't it? Definitely more sherry, but something very well aged. A little bit of umami, a little bit of gosohan, a little bit of a mushroom, grilled mushroom type of a scent. And also a little bit of a forest, green forest note coming through. Okay, onto the palate with water. Cheers. I had put a sticker on the bottom, but it's gone. But no question which is which. Anyway, with water, some extreme sherry content comes through. Also a very soft toffee. Again, that kind of a brown sugar, generic brown sugar toffee. Almost like a fudge. And the grain whiskey is very well woven into this this blend. Still got a bit of a peat, tiny little bit of peat coming through. Bit of pepper also. The finish here, again, I've got this fruit candy box, wisps of pepper, and they keep coming and coming and coming. And a little hint of peat, and it's actually still very long. It's long, it's beyond just long. So that's really nice for a very reasonably priced whiskey. All right, so that was Scotch Blues Special, the 17-year-old. The WhiskyWhistle whiskey score for Scotch Blues Special is going to be 89 out of 100. Yes, that's the WhiskyWhistle whiskey score for Scotch Blues Special, now made by Ian McLeod Distillers. Now, there's also been some, I don't know, I've heard some weird rumors about Korean Scotch. I hear the Korean market Scotch. I hear a lot of people complaining about that they don't think it's real. Well, this is absolutely the real McCoy. Some people think that it's inferior in some way, and I would actually say the converse. I think that the whiskey offered, the blended Scotch whiskeys offered here in Korea, exceed their Western counterparts. And there's a number of reasons I think that. The main reason is that this is what Koreans drink when they drink whiskey at company functions. It's a really big segment. Now, they might buy whiskeys at first not knowing what they taste like, but they'll come back. The workers, the staff will come back and buy it again if they're happy with it. More so than the typically just mixed away type of cheap blends in Canada or wherever. So there's a little bit of mixing goes on here, but also some drinking of it neat or on the rocks. So it's got to stand up to a neat serve and also an on the rocks serve. So I think we're talking very good stuff here. Anyway, to close out the show here, I've got this international, and the 17 here. Just a quick rundown. Very fruity. Citrus also, apples. I mentioned all that. This one you really get that sherry. And some apricot. Price-wise, I think that was about 26,000 won. This one, something like, I think about 45,000 won. If I were to choose, I'd probably go this way, would be my choice. But if I was on a month where I had to watch what I was spending, then I would easily go for the international and not even think twice about it because it's a great product. Oh, and one more thing. Along the lines of what people say about the whiskey, some people have talked about certain brands, including this one, giving them a headache, and that single malt doesn't. This is a load of hooey. Absolutely nothing in this brand or any other is going to cause headaches unless you drink to excess. Don't do that. You should drink responsibly, all right? Anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment, all that stuff. Take care. Goodbye.